Hi, I'm Max Keiser. This is the Keiser Report. Boy, do I love the smell of burning central banks in the morning. Stacy.
Right, you are referring to this headline, which is a great metaphor for the entire economy as it burns down. Money printing factory in France is on fire, says Russian market. A Bank of France factory is on fire in the city of Chamelieres. 24 people have reportedly been injured. It's not clear whether any cash has gone up in flames. Hat tip RT.com. Sky is the limit. Bitcoin fixes this.
Indeed. Bitcoin, you don't have the problem of your money printer going up in flames. But this is a great metaphor for what's happening in the fiat money world around the world. It's all going up in flames, either actually, in reality, or figuratively, as Bitcoin becomes the global standard. So goodbye fiat money, hello Bitcoin.
Of course, we on Keiser Report covered Alex Schaefer burning banks, the famous artist who burned banks back, it was 2009, 2010, and it was a metaphor for what they were doing to the global economy. That's what Alex Schaefer, the artist, told Homeland Security and the FBI when he was visited by them to ask him about his paintings of burning Chase.
Yeah, I'm often seen tearing up paper money at events around the world. And as somebody pointed out recently, I convert the inflationary money into a deflationary currency because those ripped up pieces of the dollars I autograph a lot of times, and the people sell them on eBay for a massive premium. So I'm actually quite the alchemist.
Of course, in the whole cryptocurrency markets, as they call it, i.e. Bitcoin plus the thousands of other imposters, which are merely just, individual CBDCs. They're just like printing money in their own personal operations, whether any coin that is not Bitcoin. So one thing that they do, like Ethereum recently did, is they start to burn some of their supply in order to increase the value. It's just like a way to manipulate the value of their money, interfere with the price signal, just like the central banks do. So this is proof that the fiat currency is merely just another altcoin when there is only one coin, which is Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly true. The fiat money world and the altcoin world, including Ethereum, are equivalent. The Ethereum and the other 11,000 altcoins, they're no different than all the worthless fiat money out there.
That's every time you hear of like a DAO or some sort of smart contract getting hacked and hundreds of millions of dollars being drained. Well, just think of that building on fire, the central bank building on fire. That's what it is. So that's burning all down. That's a great metaphor. And of course, as Max and Stacy predicted right here on Keiser Report, for the last 7, 8, 9 years, that despite what the mainstream press was saying, despite what Russia observers were saying, Putin's jumped over into the Bitcoin meme-osphere. He's a meme lord, and I'll show you Pump It. That is President Putin made himself a figure in the Bitcoin memosphere. And then we have another cool one. I think this one's actually from Bitcoin Magazine. Who took the orange pill today? And you see that Russia has legalized Bitcoin as we had predicted.
Right. Well, it makes the strategic sense to recognize Bitcoin because, of course, Russia is one of those countries where they have to deal with the United States weaponizing the U.S. dollar in a way that's unconscionable, some might say. And so it's an obvious move to gravitate toward Bitcoin.
Well, again, we covered here on Keiser Report when we interviewed Jim Rickards, I think it was back in 2010, 11, when the dollar was weaponized, was its demise. It wasn't like, you could say it's unconscionable or whatever, but the fact is that's when you stop being money, because if your money is not fungible, it's not money. So that's one of the 5 basic ingredients needed to be money. The US Treasury was money. It was the first human invention of money. Prior to that was gold, right? And then the US Treasury was invented, and this was a brilliant invention, and it led to enormous growth in global trade and things like that. But as soon as it was weaponized, then it was no longer fungible, and then it was no longer money. So it was inevitable. This is what we say in Bitcoin. It was inevitable, and that is what we said back in 2010 or 11 when we interviewed Jim Rickards about when Iran was pulled off SWIFT. That was, as he said, the U.S. won this battle, and that was a good move for that battle. But they would probably lose the war now because alternatives would come up.
Yeah, absolutely. So much more coming from the Kremlin. Mining Bitcoin, adding Bitcoin to strategic reserves along with gold. A lot more news coming out of the Kremlin on this, as we've been saying for 10 years. A lot of people would say, hey, you talk about Bitcoin on your show, and Bitcoin is quote unquote against Bitcoin. And I kept saying for 10 years now, read between the lines, folks, what's really going on.
Right, and here, just so you see, this is the headline from BTC Archive, and what they were saying is Russia to legalize and license Bitcoin exchanges. So obviously, you can't ban Bitcoin. It's not possible to ban Bitcoin, and that is why we always say, whenever anybody FUDs and says, oh, China's going to ban Bitcoin, or India's going to ban Bitcoin, or Russia's going to ban Bitcoin, we're like, no, you can't ban Bitcoin. You can ban your citizens, of course, from having any sort of freedom or liberty or economic sovereignty. That's true. You can ban them from that, but you can't ban Bitcoin. However, now they've chosen not to ban their citizens from having economic sovereignty.
Right. I mean, you can ban Bitcoin all you want, but you cannot enforce any type of ban on Bitcoin. And I think that's what countries around the world have figured out. And so they have taken the polar opposite view that, hey, maybe we should get into the global hash race, the global hash war, and let's be part of the 21st century. The US dollar, having been world reserve currency now for 100 years, will probably be the last to enter the hash race at 300, 400, 500,000 a coin, which would be terrible for the United States. But you're not. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, speaking of the cookie crumbling, it has nothing to do with this next segue, because I am going to point out that we are here in El Salvador, and a remarkable story happened, a huge story while we were here, and we were part of it. Not only do we know all the participants in the Bitfinex hack, the biggest hack ever of Bitcoin from an exchange back in 2016, August of 2016, something like 110,000 Bitcoin were hacked off of the Bitfinex exchange. Well, 94,000 of them were seized this past week, or announced that they had been seized by the US Department of Justice, had announced this. And celebrating the Bitfinex news in El Salvador this morning with Max Keiser Samsamau, Simon Dixon, and others, of course, the others being a certain somebody from Bitfinex who took the photo.
Right. It's kind of nostalgic, this whole reveal of the couple that are in New York City that are being connected, allegedly, with the hack of 110,000 Bitcoin or so. And I say nostalgic because before the Michael Saylor got involved in Bitcoin, before Jack Dorsey got involved with Bitcoin, before Mike Novogratz got involved in Bitcoin, this couple of eccentric, kind of really crazy people, that's how Bitcoin was from when we first started, 2011, all the way through 2017. Really, for the first 5 or 6 years of Bitcoin, people were buying and selling hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, losing Bitcoin. These were pariahs, social outcasts. So this is probably the last time we're going to see a view into the way Bitcoin culture was for the first 5 or 6 years, with these absolute nuts that have been connected now with this huge Bitfinex hack. So I'm a bit nostalgic about this.
These people who were charged by the Department of Justice as alleging having some role in this hack, whether or not they actually hacked the exchange, we don't know, but they certainly were in possession of the coins. It was actually close to 120,000. It was something like 119,754 Bitcoin had been hacked from the exchange. They found, the Department of Justice seized 94,000 coins from this couple. The headline from the Wall Street Journal reads, Justice Department says it seized $3.6 billion worth of Bitcoin stolen in 2016 hack. The value of the Bitcoin at the time it was seized last week marks the department's largest ever financial seizure. When the coins were first hacked off the exchange, it was worth $70 million. they recovered all of those coins, it would be worth $4.5 billion today. So that shows you also like the growth of Bitcoin in that sort of time. At the time, we were also covering gold, and gold is still at the same price as it was back then, just so you see the difference between these two asset classes.
Absolutely. And in another few years, those coins will be worth $3 to $4 trillion.
According to the article and according to the allegations from the Department of Justice, these are the two people that they arrested and charged. Ilya Lichtenstein, he's 34 years old, and his wife Heather Morgan, 31, were both arrested without incident Tuesday morning in Manhattan. The department said they have promoted themselves on social media as entrepreneurs with deep knowledge of tech and a love of travel. They are scheduled to make their initial court appearance on Tuesday afternoon. That happened earlier this week. They made bail. I think it was set at $100 million. In the US, I think you just have to come up with 10% of the money. But of course, they have a huge social media profile. There's loads of TikTok sort of rap videos that are cringeworthy, and that's all out there for the world to see. But we started with this is the Bitcoin space, and this is a meme lord space, and this is they fit in right with this the meme osphere. You have Putin pump it, and you have these alleged hackers doing crazy cringe dances on TikTok.
Right, you had the Michael Saylor, Jack Dorsey, then you had El Salvador, and now Russia. So the game theory has gone up to the sovereign level. But these two involved allegedly in the Bitfinex hack are really, it's like a Jurassic Park moment. I mean, this is the way the whole business and the whole culture of Bitcoin was for the first 5 or 6 years. And it's like seeing Jesse James suddenly appear out of the Wild West and, walking down the street. Or some, Abraham Lincoln is suddenly back and alive, and right? So it's really an incredible moment. It'll probably be the last moment we have in Bitcoin where the way we actually were living this whole business for several years. So very sad to see, but also very uplifting.
Well, it's interesting. Of course, when people say, it's used for money laundering and stuff like that, the problem for this couple became that they had on paper, $3.6 billion worth of net worth, but they couldn't spend the Bitcoin. It was very difficult. And they did spend some of it, and that's why they're now arrested and facing many decades in prison. They were using some of it. They bought Walmart gift certificates via BitRefill, which is a service where you could use your Bitcoin to buy gift cards. They also bought some NFTs and gold. So somewhere along the lines, apparently, according to one of the articles, they were saying that they used an email with their BitRefill gift cards that was connected to an exchange and a server in Russia, which worked with the FBI to give them the information of who the actual person was that was linked to that email address.
Right. People don't use Bitcoin for crime for this very reason. The highest percentage of global crime that employed Bitcoin peaked several years ago at around 1.5%, and that number's gone down to under 0.5%. It's not really practical for criminals to use Bitcoin. That's just a point mainstream media uses incorrectly. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, much more coming your way. Welcome back to the Keiser Report. I'm Max Keiser. Time now to return to our conversation with Josh Young of News Story Charity. Josh, welcome back.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to stay on. Yep.
All right. So we're talking about this remarkable project that you're involved with. It's about giving low-income folks homes and a path to owning those homes. And in El Salvador, this is the first time ever in history this has ever happened. This is owning your own home was something seen available only to a very few select. And now you're making it available to everybody. So the home owners...
Hopefully Bitcoin accelerates that as well.
Yeah, we're going to get into the Bitcoin side of it. And so talk a little bit about the relationship with the homeowner, right? Because they've got a responsibility here, right?
Yep.
Talk about it.
So through our work, we started as 100% philanthropy, and we would gift these homes completely. We've realized early on that families want to pay for their home. It provides dignity, it provides respect, and a lot of pride in being able to pay for your own home. Families take care of their home a lot better. They take care of the community a lot better when they invest into it. So our first pivot was to charge families rent and hold it in like a community fund. And this community fund would go towards building roads or churches. The community would kind of decide their plan, playgrounds, things like that. And now we have took that one more step further and are charging families the entire cost of the house. And we build super cheap at the highest quality as well. So less than $10,000 families can own. You saw the homes, they're 2 stories, 2 bedrooms. First time in these families' lives, they have running water, electricity. It's really high quality home building at an affordable
am I correct
price.
in saying, you're driving around El Salvador, San Salvador, there are a lot of essentially tin shacks,
Yes.
right? With
And
dirt floors and no running water. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the standard of a low income family.
Sure. And they're all squatters too. All those you see along the side of the roads, they don't own that land. It's just they've set up shop, and as El Zante specifically becomes more desirable place to be, people who actually own that land are coming in trying to sell it to different resorts and things like this. And that's displacing all these families. So now not only will they not have a decent place to call home, but they won't have any place to call home. So that's why it's especially
Well, it's an old
pertinent.
story of gentrification.
Yeah.
All right, so you're saying that for less than $10,000,
Yes.
you can set up, and I saw these homes, it's a 2-story home, concrete, solid,
Yep.
2 bed, 2 bath, running water, in a nice community, roads,
Yeah.
really nice homes. And it's a path to owning that home. So the people that have been living here for generations will continue to live here.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of our innovation is taking community feedback into designing our homes. So we interview all the families that we plan to house, and we listen to their worries, their concerns, their hopes, and their dreams. And we really design the community in partnership with them. So that adds to the level of pride they have into their home. And these are generational homes built, again, at the highest quality. We never sacrifice quality for cost. And with all our innovations, we're able to lower that cost of the home building process. And we charge families at price. And in that way, as they pay back, they're actually funding more families to be given a home, because all of that money that we receive in return goes to building more houses.
Right, so when you say that you found that giving people homes actually, it's preferable to have people buy their homes. There's more
For us and for them.
for them, but it's more pride. It works out better for everybody. So it reminds me of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is proof of work. Bitcoin is low time preference, and as opposed to fiat money, which is just giving money away, and it creates a lot of problems that we're all suffering from all over the world now. Bitcoin money is proof of work. So this is proof of work for low-income housing, and there is a Bitcoin component in this whole project, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are building the world's first community that will charge exclusively, the repayments will be made in Bitcoin. So a part of their document is that they will pay via the Lightning Network. It's going to be denominated in USD to protect families. They don't have to hold Bitcoin until they make the payment. But of course, any excess income, they can hold Bitcoin, and they can start thinking about wealth generation. Really, their mindsets are completely changing. So, and that's what we see with a lot of our beneficiaries of homes. Their mindset just completely changed. Imagine yourself, like, if you don't know where you're gonna sleep at night, we call this survival mode living. You're worried about where your family's gonna be protected, what they're gonna eat next. Once you have a home, you don't have to worry about keeping your clothes dry when it rains, something I've never thought about. But a lot of these families, they can't go to work if it rains too hard because everything they own will be soaked. They have to protect it in that way. So once you have the foundation, a home, you can start to dream about something so much bigger, really become who you were made to be. It's the foundation for everything they need to thrive. Families can focus on on school. Kids can focus on school. They have a place to study and come home to that's safe. They don't necessarily need to work at 10 years old. And then, as I mentioned before, their income increases 63% on average. People can become entrepreneurs. They can take more risks. They can hold more wealth because they're not immediately thinking of today. They can start to dream of the future beyond home ownership.
Right. Now, as you mentioned, Y Combinator, Silicon Valley, startup incubators involved. And of course, when you mention that, I think about San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And they've got an incredible homeless problem. Yep. People living in the street. It's become open defecation in the street. Mm-hmm. It's like a third world country, really, San Francisco. And when you go there, you can smell the human fecal matter in the air. And so when will America benefit from this? When will San Francisco benefit from this?
So our goal is global homelessness. Like, we imagine a world where nobody struggles from not having a home, where everybody is housed, everybody feels safe at night. We know we can't do that work alone. So we're focused on making innovations within the housing space, focused on every one of our communities has a purpose. So either increasing the speed of construction, decreasing the cost of homes, all while maintaining or even increasing the quality of home building. And then home ownership is a part of that financial cycle.
So it works here because the leadership is visionary and the leadership cares about people. And I guess the reason it doesn't work in California is because the leadership is ossified with the Walking Dead, and they don't care about people. Is that a fair statement?
You can go that far. I wouldn't go that far as to say.
But
they
I mean,
don't
if you look
care,
at you look at what's going on there, how can you not come to that conclusion, right? I mean, it's the deaths of despair are skyrocketing, suicide skyrocketing because the leadership doesn't care, and they profit from the misery, right? This country has a leadership that is actually saying we care about the human life, which I don't find that in California.
Here's what I'll say. In positive to El Salvador, the government has been such a blessing. You met Michelle Sol, the housing minister. Mm-hmm. She works with us on projects. And when we come to her with, we need help, she's looking for a reason to say yes. And I've seen that throughout El Salvador and the government here. When they do genuinely want to help people and they look to say yes, where in America, oftentimes, they're looking for a reason to say no, looking for a reason to hesitate, to pull back, to be safe. You can see in El Salvador, they know it's important to take risks to benefit their people.
How important is making Bitcoin legal tender to the mindset of the country?
I'll speak for El Zante specifically, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of for this project is that mindset switch, even from kids. So I'm going to brag on Ismael. He's one of the home beneficiaries in El Zante. He's seeing all this work done by Jorge Valenzuela, Chimberta, the rest of Bitcoin Beach, and all the things that we're accomplishing here. And he is dreaming bigger. Now he's going to be the one paying the mortgage in Bitcoin at his home for his family. At 19 years old, he's figured out different ways to be an entrepreneur, really. Like, his first one is he saw a guy was traveling 30 minutes to get ice, and then realized if he invested into an ice machine, he could produce that. Now the guy comes to him because it's closer, and he can make money off that investment. He started his clothing brand, and learned about Bitcoin early on, helps at Bitcoin Beach, and even gets paid by Bitcoin Beach. And you can see, because he has mentors, and I've seen this in my personal life, as a kid who grew up single mom, one bedroom, me and my little brothers all shared. As I had more mentors in life, I started to dream bigger, just because things are possible, things I never had thought about, now working internationally. And you can see his mindset completely changing right before our eyes within a very short time period, because he has mentors doing the thing. This is a country of innovation. Really.
All right, let me jump in because we only have about 30 seconds
Okay.
left. How can people contribute and to this project?
So you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at newstorycharity.org, see all the updates. You can contribute in a major way by being a builder. That's a minimum of $50,000 a year for a 3-year pledge, helps us hire for the future, reach our ultimate goals. And you can just be an architect, what we call architects. They fund homes at less than $10,000, and you can completely house a family for a generation, multiple generations. And
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's
all that goes
incredible.
to
You know,
home
as
building
you know,
costs.
we've been checking the project out. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's just another incredible story. Josh, thanks for being on Keiser Report.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report with me, Max Keiser, and Stacy Herbert. I want to thank our guest, Josh Young of the newstorycharity.org. Until next time, bye, y'all.